This is a difficult conversation to have today because, quite frankly, we don't know who the head coach is. And if you don't know who the head coach is, you don't know how much you trust them with players like the player we're about to talk about. Now, multiple times, we know Brandon Aiyuk has been a target for the Cleveland Browns. Last year, in the middle of the year, before Deshaun got hurt, that had been a name that had been linked to them. Like 2 years, like a year before that. So they've had interest in Brandon Aiyuk multiple times, or some might call him Aiyuk. But it was interesting.
I don't know why I did that today.
If you guys haven't been following the Brandon Aiyuk situation, San Francisco is all the way out on this guy. He basically went AWOL on them after he got injured, and they pulled all of his guarantees. And this is John Lynch, the Niners GM yesterday, talking about Brandon Ayuk's future in San Francisco.
The plan in terms of the transaction, that will come in due time. I think it's safe to say that he's played his last snap with the Niners. It's unfortunate situation that just went awry, and I will look long and hard at what could have been done differently, but sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Now, Kyle Shanahan said basically the same thing, and Kyle Shanahan has been out on Brandon Aiyuk since I think it was the day that Brandon Aiyuk took a video and put it on Instagram of him flying by the 49ers stadium. And when I say flying by, I'm talking about like on one of the side streets that we have over by the Brown Stadium and going like 100. They're all the way out on him.
Yeah, there was that weird interaction that went, for some reason, Shanahan really had a hard problem with it, where Aiyuk wanted to wear like red shorts when everyone else was wearing black shorts. And it was just like a big deal for Shanahan. And Aiyuk just would not change out of them. He just refused to. He was being insubordinate was the idea there. And they've never been able to recover from that.
Now, that being said, Ayuk's also coming off another injury. And I think it's fair that this question was asked, and I think Mary Kay had a great answer on it. It was basically the Browns need wide receivers. They've had interest in Brandon Aiyuk before. Could they have potential interest in Aiyuk this offseason?
We know that they have pursued him in the past, and Andrew Berry has a tendency to circle back on guys that he's tried to acquire before and go wrap them up. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least do their diligence and inquire. I'd have to do a lot of homework to make sure that it's a culture fit. And, of course, I wouldn't do anything until you have the new head coach in place, the new offensive staff in place, and make sure that he is a player that is going to fit in with your culture, with your offense, and just fall in line with everything that you want to be doing.
So there's a lot of different angles to this, but I'll be able to give you my definitive answer on Aiyuk when I know who the head coach is. I am 90% sure it's a no, but there is one or two coaches that might take that to a 50-50. Let's see what the cost is. Like, let's see what the price is.
Okay, so you think like a Grant Udinski is not going to be able to get the most out of Aiyuk is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think if you're talking about growing,
you're going to need a tough ass, basically.
If you're talking about growing a young coach into a professional head coach in real time, why would you saddle him with Brandon Aiyuk and Jerry Jeudy?
It's just the type of headache that feels like a lot of teams take the chances on a guy like this, though. He's wildly talented. You need wide receivers. Like, you need help. It's not been something that Andrew Berry's been immune to in the past. I mean, he threw Isaiah Bond out there with a week of training camp. Like, this is kind of what he does.
Well, and I'll just say it. Like, I don't think Andrew needs to specifically say, we just need to get a bunch of choir boys in here going forward, meaning like night and day change your philosophy on drafting.
Yeah, we certainly know speeding doesn't limit him from anything.
As a matter of fact, it might help.
It's kind of their culture.
One of their verticals is, do you like to speed? That is actually a check mark, plus check mark for us.
But I like to go fast.
I do think they're basically Ricky Bobby.
They're basically.
It's like Talladega Nights over there if you drive by Berea, but I don't want to be completely out on it because you just need to find talent. And you need to throw as much offensive talent. But I continue to come back to, if it's Sean McDermott, and Sean McDermott says, hey, I've actually met Brandon before and I've had a good experience with him. I think he just needs a change of scenery. Okay, I trust Sean McDermott on that. Hell, Jim Schwartz, I trust. Even though I don't think Jim is maybe as much of an ironclad, I think he is much more of a disciplinarian than Kevin, but Sean seems to be like a different level of that, but I would trust Jim Schwartz with that. If you want to give Grant Udinski or Nate Scheelhaus, if that's who it ends up being, a chance at being a head coach and succeeding, you cannot put him in this situation. If the one benefit I will give Kevin is he did walk into a locker room with Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., and Jarvis Landry. And I know we love Jarvis here.
Yeah.
That was a lot of David Njoku. That was a lot of personality on his side of the ball. And OBJ specifically, like, to me, that's what this feels like.
This feels like OBJ to you?
Well, yes. Yeah, like a guy that was prolific at one point has ceased being prolific and is just pretty okay and is a royal pain in the ass.
I mean, he had one 1,300-yard season. He's only had a couple 1,000-yard seasons in general. Like OBJ was Aiyuk.
Aiyuk.
OBJ was legitimately the first 3 years of his career were the best we've ever seen from a wide receiver. But you knew at that point that the Browns had gotten him. It was such a big get, but you knew it was going to the talent was going to start to go downhill a little bit. OBJ brought a stardom though that Aiyuk doesn't bring. Like OBJ was beyond football famous.
Yeah, I think if Brandon Aiyuk had been in New York, I think that really helps you.
I mean, OBJ was he was doing fashion shows in Paris. There was a time where there was only like 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, and then OBJ as far as their popularity beyond the sport.
I think if OBJ had been drafted to the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think it would have been the cult of personality.
I mean, Aiyuk wasn't even like the 3rd most popular player on his own team.
That's San Francisco. We're getting sidetracked a little bit here. This is one way they could fix the wide receiver room. But if you do this to Grant Udinski or Nate Scheelhaase, you're not giving them a chance to be a head coach. You're just not.
I know the problem, though, is that Andrew Berry, as we've seen him, he takes chances on these type of guys. He feels like there's an advantage in taking chances with guys that have either had problematic past or have been a little bit disgruntled in one way or another. Like, he finds value in these type of players. So whoever the next head coach is, they have to have the philosophy that they can make these type of guys work, because Andrew Berry, even though we've seen it not work continuously here, he hasn't moved off that thinking.
But timing is what matters here. If this was 2 years from now and Grant Udinski had established himself as a head coach, assuming that's the guy, it's different. Year one, hey, you got to go fix an offense, you got to go find a quarterback, and you got to deal with Brandon Aiyuk. That just doesn't sound fair. I don't get into fair often, but if you're going to hire a guy that I don't believe should be a head coach right now, the least you could do is actually give him a chance. Isn't that, like, again, like, I want to get back to that idea of the Browns' responsibility. If they hire a guy that nobody else would be hiring this year or next year as a head coach, if you're going to do that, then you have to put that guy in a position to succeed. I know, but you can't say it if you go get Aiyuk here.
But how starved we were for wide receivers last year, we brought Deontay Johnson in the mix. A guy that me and you, when they signed, the day they signed him, we had the video out there. It's like, what are they doing?
But that was year 6 of Stefanski.
This is not going to work. This is not going to work at all. But that's what Andrew Berry does, though. He takes chances on these type of guys, even guys that don't have half the talent of Aiyuk at this point.
Yeah, you're right. But he needs to be more selective this offseason. He really needs to think about it. And that doesn't mean avoid every guy out there that has one negative word said about him, but you have to be really if you're going to hire a rookie head coach, Grant Udinski, you better put some choir boys in that room, especially on the offensive side of the ball. The defense, if you keep Schwartz, the defense is kind of self-contained here, and that is a gift to a rookie head coach. So you can actually take some pains in the Badinskis over on the defensive side of the ball, because I do think Jim Schwartz will keep that down on lock, and Miles will too. I mean, and I don't know enough about Brandon to say he's a bad dude, but seeing how things went there, you can't put a guy that could undermine that culture on the offensive side of the ball if you're hiring a baby-faced offensive head coach.
I don't think I'm speaking out of pocket to suggest it didn't seem like he took his career that seriously in San Francisco in some respects. When you're missing rehab assignments, that's right. That's where I kind of draw the line of like I got Aiyuk I'm talking about here.
No, I think totally fair. He's definitely a clown, but I don't want to say he's a bad guy.
No, not a bad guy. It's just whether or not he took his career seriously.
Yeah.
And at this point, it just doesn't seem like he has. But that might also be something within San Francisco that he didn't vibe with, and maybe it is just new scenery. We've just seen this with wide receivers so often. When they start to go bad, it's not as if they all of a sudden turn around and everything's great.
216-474-0092. Is Brandon Aiyuk an option in Cleveland now? I think what style of offense you run is going to be really interesting here. And again, this is how I got to find the head coach before I say what we're going to do here with the wide receiver room. If we're going to move away from the 13 personnel, the multiple tight ends look, if you're going to do that, then it would make sense that you not just draft a wide receiver, you probably draft 2 of them, and then you also bring in a veteran as well. Like, this would be both the wide receiver and offensive line room. If you can't get a clear and obvious upgrade at quarterback, The next best thing you can do is have too many good wide receivers for starting jobs.
Now you're speaking my language.
And the same thing with offensive linemen.
Now we're talking turkey.
I didn't just specifically say just 6 and 24, though.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but you kind of went towards that.
I'm trying to meet you in the middle.
Let's meet there.
While also saying
you've
that
added
your
it too, by the way.
philosophy of 6 and 24.
You've added 24 to the mix. I've always said 6. You've added that in recent days, 6 and 24, and I think that's an interesting little add-on, by the way. I don't hate it, but I also don't. It's not accurate to what I said.
So if they take Caleb Downs at 24, it's different than if they take him at 6?
Yes, definitely, yeah. If he goes to 24th,
what if they took Ruben Baines at 6?
There's the idea that somebody could be like a top 10 player that all of a sudden is there at 24, and it is what it is. Will it make me happy? No, it won't make me happy. But it's sound philosophy at number 6 overall.
So Ruben Baines at 6, and then
Ruben Baines not at 6.
Caleb Downs at 24. That's a good win for you?
Ruben Baines at 6, not a good win for me.
But Caleb Downs then went to 24. I told you I was spicy today. Did I not? Did I not give everyone the warning?
What day aren't you spicy?